Well, good evening, this is Hound Dog Steve coming to you on the 12th of November. And these are a few little stories that basically give you an idea that we are cracking up as a society. This first one could be semi-humorous. Sydney's same-sex penguin couple become parents. Sven and Magic, two male Gen 2 penguins paired as a same-sex couple at the Sea Life Aquarium in Sydney, have successfully incubated a baby chick, which was born on October the 19th. The aquarium announced the chick's birth on Friday. I just shake my head on that one. I guess it is cute, but not really what I would call news. A 69-year-old man asked to be declared 49. Well, why not? In the quixotic battle against old age, some people will use skincare and spin class. Not Emil Rattleband, a 69-year-old who feels like he's in his 40s. A Dutch pensioner is asking a court in his hometown of Arnhem, southeast of Amsterdam, to change his birth certificate so it says that he took his first breath on March 11th, 1969, rather than on March 11th, 1949. The judge heard his case Monday and promised they'd render a verdict in the next several weeks. Well, Emil, it looks like you're just going to screw yourself out of a pension, because if you're 49 years old, you better get that little butt of yours back out on the work train, okay? Because if you feel like you're 49, you still got another good 15 or 16 years working you, and you know, you may even have to pay back some of your pension. You may be charged with fraud if your birth certificate is changed from one date to the other. So look out for the blowback on that one, buddy. This is absolutely staggering. I never got to hold him, and you can see this young man with his mother. His nickname was Pup Tank, but his real name was Jack Chapman, and he died because he injected silicone, raw silicone, you know, like the stuff that you caulk windows with, into his scrotum as part of an inflation fetish. Okay, according to his autopsy, the 28-year-old Jack, also known as Pup Tank, died from silicone embolism syndrome in October. Jack was reportedly part of a cult fetish scene spearheaded by Havertypen, where followers were required to have large scrotums to go along with their hulking physiques. Jack's mother claims she didn't learn about her son's disorder until a day after his death. According to the Daily Mail, Chapman confronted Dylan Havertypen, Jack's reported bondage partner, and blamed him for his son's death. Chapman instructed Havertypen to leave her house. So they were living in the mom's house when this happened. Maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but I you know, this stuff, who does this? Who would possibly dream up this kind of stuff? I mean, it is absolutely staggering. And here's another story that I'm going to that I found on the internet. Actually, I saw it in the paper first. Absolutely bizarre, but this is about the crystal meth that is sweeping across America right now. Anyway, let's take a look at that one, and I got one more story after that. So here we go. Hi, naked woman tasered after she tried to bite off man's penis during a threesome. Cops. Police in South Carolina say a naked woman tried to bite off a man's genitals and then rushed on all fours at responding officers, who shocked her with a stun gun. WCSC-TV reports that a man called police for help, saying the woman tried to bite off his penis during sex with him and another man Monday night. Hanahan Police Chief Dennis Turner says the officer shot the bloody woman with a stun gun, then used an overdose-fighting drug to revive her. Officers were told she was high on heroin and methamphetamine. Turner says the body camera recording reminded me of something you would see off a horror movie. The woman was hospitalized and charges are pending. So this is indeed a bizarre story. There you go. So I think you'll agree that that is pretty bizarre. I mean, wow. The sort of things that people are doing to themselves is an indication of the gilded cage. You know, this actually reminds me, there was an experiment done with mice where they put them in like a mouse city, and they deliberately overcrowded the mice. Now they made sure that there was enough food and water and this kind of stuff, and but there was just, everywhere you went there was mice. And what started happening is that the mice started to become neurotic. You started getting these what they call preening mice that would just sit there and preen themselves all day long, even to the point where they would, you know, lick hair out. Tail biting. There was lots of mice running around without their tails because other mice would bite their tails off. Excessive fornication. This kind of stuff. You know, the mice were put under extreme stress and they started acting out in these bizarre ways, and I think that's what we've got right now is well, our moral anchors seem to be disappearing, you know, like atheist church ministers, and I'm not saying that necessarily the church, how can I put it, is necessarily the most positive thing in our society, but it is an anchor. And many of these moral anchors are disappearing in our society, and with the use of the internet and the spread of more and more bizarre stories, things that, you know, very small groups of people get into, I guess it's opening up these kind of doorways. But it is a kind of psychosis, I think, that's taking place within society. I mean, who would do these sort of things? Anyway, the last story is Sinead O'Connor is finished with white people. Now, Sinead, I don't know if you remember, Sinead was in a detention centre. She was a very troubled young lady at that time, but she had the most incredible voice, and the people who worked in the detention centre made a recording of her, and they let it loose, I believe, on the internet, and next thing you know, Sinead O'Connor is an absolute mega star. So now she has converted to Islam, and it's kind of interesting. Listen to the story. It's just a short story, so I'll read the whole thing. The artist formerly known as Sinead O'Connor has insisted she never wants to spend time with white people again. The Irish singer-songwriter, who goes by the name of Shahada David since her conversion to Islam, posted a series of rambling tweets on a social networking platform in which she described non-Muslims disgusting and claimed the reign of the white man was over. O'Connor began her Twitter rant by apologising for saying something so racist, explaining she never thought it was something she could ever feel. "I'm terribly sorry," she began, "but I truly never want to spend time with white people again, if that's what non-Muslims are called. Not for one moment, for any reason. They are disgusting." Interesting to see if Twitter bans this when it allows people like Trump and Milbank spew satanic filth upon even my country. She continued, "Forgive me, sometimes the Lord needs dirty workers." The 51-year-old later added, "Everyone sees the poor Americans are the victim of Trump, but you hired him, so you fire him. Otherwise you're complicit. It's the same with the so-called Islamic terrorism, which is exactly what the devil wants and loves. Hashtag watch the women sing the F-U-C-K-E-R to sleep." O'Connor, who now wears a hijab, also spoke up for women in Islam in a post and urged Muslim men to let women take the lead. "No more martyrs, please. It's a stupid effing idea. Lads, sit down and let the females show you how to sing the devil to sleep." Her conversion to Islam comes 2 months after she asked the Pope to present her with an official excommunication certificate so she could officially leave the Catholic Church. Now, I would say that this is quite a revelation, when she says if that's what non-Muslims are called. So basically she's saying that any non-Muslim is disgusting, but especially white non-Muslims. This sounds very much like the kind of radicalization that governments around the world are extremely concerned about. And it is these converts to Islam that seem to slide into the radicalization pattern. And now I don't want to play this down at all, and I think this should be taken really seriously. It's the sort of thing that actually, how can I put it? It fulfills all the fears of those people who fear Islam. When you read stories like this, it really just supports the fear that people do have. It doesn't eradicate it. And so I really think that, yes, we should pay attention to this kind of stuff. And who knows where Sinead O'Connor will be next. Anyway, to me, as a person who is watching all of the things, or as much as they can, taking place within society, when you take into account the massacres that seem to be happening now, one after another. I mean, it is absolutely staggering. The speed of the news cycle. What about those pipe bombs during the midterms? That seemed like 6 months ago. That was just about a week ago. Since then, we've had a massacre in Florida. We've had a massacre at a synagogue in Pennsylvania. We've had the midterms. We've had the massacre down in California. And now, of course, there is the vote upset down in Florida, in Broward County, Palm Beach, and in Arizona. And, these other stories, and these are major stories that are going past in about 2 or 3 days, and then you really don't hear an awful lot more about them after that. They're here and gone in a flash. Other smaller stories don't even make a full news cycle, don't even make a 24-hour news cycle before they're knocked out of the way by another clickbait type story. No wonder people are starting to destabilize. They can't even absorb this intellectually, let alone emotionally. And so what ends up happening is you just become emotionally numb, where there's so much happening that you don't know how to feel. It is impossible to keep up with the kind of negative emotion. And so people just start turning off or start turning to bizarre extremes to offset this kind of psychosis that is sweeping, or drug addiction, Oxycontin, fentanyl. These are crystal meth, crack cocaine, and all the other bizarre synthetic drugs that we seem to be hearing about now. These are all warning signs that the underpinnings of our society are falling apart. Where this will lead to, I don't know, but wow, we are just awash of emotion right now in North America, and who and where and what it will lead to, I have absolutely no idea. Anyway, we are living in interesting times, and even though a lot of this reporting today was maybe not what you would call really newsworthy items, other than indication or of a broader malaise which seems to be spreading across North America, if not indeed the world. And I think we should pay attention to some of these warning signs, including the use of medication like antipsychotics and antidepressants over and above these other opioid type medications spreading across the nation and creating addiction here and there all over the place. Very interesting times we live in. Anyway, this is Hound Dog Steve signing off, and I hope you found these stories interesting. Please like and subscribe below, and comment if you feel so inclined, and we will talk to you very, very soon. You take care now. See ya. Bye.